Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Backpack Trader Training Room for Thursday, March 31st, the end of the first quarter. All right. Please do say hello, as that's how I know who is in the room. And if you feel like you're getting benefit from these sessions, please do hit the like button. All right, YM with a get in sync in 3+ minutes when the market opens. Crude first tradable trade first trade that you could actually execute, I would say, was 9-10-23. Had a bunch of trades before it, but they all just popped right through the entries. So the short at 102.73, and that meanders around about until we get an entry at 83. Stop and reverse adjust takes that to 85 plus key level is 86. Plenty of time to get in to get that order in place. And nice strong move up, picking up targets of 13 and 21 for 34 ticks. So that's a 2 and done session. The loss was from 73 to 86, so 26 ticks on 2 positions. And we get 34, so we only got 8 ticks out of the session, but POQ nonetheless. And unleaded, and we're about a minute plus from open. Unleaded initially has this short trade that I would say is probably avoidable because it just spiked to the entry and came back up quickly. Given the proximity to the 50, I would say there's an adjustment there anyway. So that I would say that's avoidable, even if you didn't. The next trade is easily tradable and easily wipes out the loss. So you get the long. You're going to stop out at 626 and enter a new trade at 637 or 636, excuse me. And that's going to go to a target 2 of 724 for 88 ticks, and just a booming trailer here to 874 from 636, 128 ticks. So 216 ticks net on that trade. As I say, easily would wipe out any loss on if you got into the first trade. So we'll look at those. I've got heating oil up here, and we also have a micro Russell. Those start at 9:30, 8:30 Central is their exchange time, and the market's just opened. And so we had a quick short here, just 6 seconds. That probably wasn't tradable. This is so at 51 you have a long that's now canceled. And actually that puts you get in sync in the short. Let's see where we are with the short. So we're in that YM short at 35.036. Money management at 35.002. And target at 34.998. Trying to set a new session low and pushing through, setting a new session low, 2 ticks away. And it did touch money management, so stop comes to 36. So even there, because that was a minor key level and we did not adjust. So our stop is at 36, which was our entry. Looking for 34.998 for target. And it looks like catapult on the Renko bars. Looks like that one went away from us in all likelihood. Too fast. 2 bars in, we're only 3 seconds. Depending on what that third bar did, that's a longer bar. That may have pulled back to the entry, so that would be something to check on that one. Still short on the YM. Let's see what soybeans has done. Still in, no, we have an add-on trade here at 70.50. Looks like we're definitely in that. And the stop's way down here at the session open. We had gone well too far pre-market to get in sync with that earlier long trade. We've got a new long trade here, but we're already in this add-on. So that's counterpunch, so I can give it a So now we're tracking that trade, and when the later trade's an add-on. All right, the YM came back and stopped out at break even 36. So loss of just your commissions and any slippage there. So flat, looking for another trade there. Still in the original trade. As I say, that third bar would be the key. It could have come back. And only 13 seconds, so I don't know if it would have gotten back to the entry or not. And time for our micro NQ chart. Wow, big down move there. So we wait 4 minutes to start that one because of the speed that my NQ uses. This is also catapult on a Renko bar. 6-point bar with a 2-point offset. So that's 24 tick bar with an 8 tick offset. I'm using Unirenko on NinjaTrader. So it's trend 8, offset 16, and reversal 40. So no trades yet on the MNQ trade plan, starting at 8:34 Central. And there's our first setup. No trigger yet. And closing below the stop does not cancel. The cancellation would be a crossover, which in there it just canceled and set us up a short trade at 15.015 even. And target 1 on soybeans. So that's one and done on the session. Stop at 72.50. And we could get, looks like we've got a crossover, so this would cancel. There's a long on MNQ 30.25. And that triggers in. $14 points to target 1, so that is our break-even money management. We start trailing up here at 3x, so that's going to be up here somewhere above target 2. Oh, looks like we actually did trigger, and now we're back into another short. And that went through way too fast to catch. Full stop out on both the short and the long. And now we have a new long that we're in that trade now. Back and forth action with the micro NQ at session lows. What did the YM do for us? Okay, we survived the stop and reverse there. That was a little early. We got in sync. And yeah, picked up a money management and stopped out for a partial. Now we have a long that's hit target 1. That's a small trade. So I would take that to target 2, and we've hit that 20 ticks, and we're now trailing on the YM. And that will be a POQ trade. We have a partial win on the short and a full win on the long. And of course, I would keep my stop at 35.002 since we have hit target, rather than going back to 34.999. I don't believe we got down. Yeah, we just down to 03. Entry on that was 35.001. Wow. Moving quickly this morning. And it looks like we stopped out at 73.25 on soybeans. Using the catapult, or not catapult, using counterpunch. So target one and a almost target one trail. Target one was 74.25 and we trailed to 73.25. So target one got us 15 ticks. So that would give us 11 ticks on target on the trail. That would be targets 2, 3, and trail. So 3 positions. That's 33 ticks, along with our 15 on target 1, puts us at 48 ticks, 12 points at $50 a point. Now, Pound Aussie had a possible get in sync, but ultimately hit the stop without coming up and hitting, just missing the entry here at 9:01, but then falling back and hitting the stop. So no trade there. Looking for our first setup. Go back and pick up. Yeah, that one we picked back would pick up going back up, but I would wait for it to come down again, and it sets up a long that we had plenty of time to get into. Gets to target one, but target one we need to get 11 points. We got a 44 tick minimum to go break even on this plan. And we get short. We get a long that spikes through. I seriously doubt you'd have been able to get a stop and reverse in on that. Even if you did, you would have adjusted it up and would have kept you in the short. So actually, we're still in this short. And that hits target one, which is plenty for break even. And I would say it didn't get quite far enough to get target 2. So our stop actually is still up here. And we get a positive reversal here at 04.25. And that gets a full stop out. Spike to the entry to go short. And that's avoidable, I would say. And that's where we are. Not good on the MNQ. Russell kind of settled down now. And goes for a full stop on the short and a full stop on the long. Just kind of settled in a band. So neither one of those working very well this morning. Please do feel free to ask questions. Micro ES on Catapult. We're in an early trade. So waiting for a new setup there before we can get into anything. That did go, let's see. Yeah, there's our start time. So it definitely went to target 1 before we're able to do anything with it. So waiting for a new setup there. Let's take a look at Catapult on unleaded. Looks like unleaded getting pretty rapid trades this morning. Yes, a marker there. 8:45 start. Traded out of New York, so that is Eastern time. That's so 8:45 exchange time. Nothing. Yeah, there's one early, but that goes away before our start time. First trade at 9:02. I'd say plenty of time to get in that trade. That goes 38 tick target and a booming. That's similar to that second trade that we got on unleaded on Spotlight with a nice long trailing all the way up to 884 from an entry at 633. So 151 points, 151 ticks at $4.20 a tick per contract. And the 38 tick target, 189 ticks on that trade. That one I would be done for the day. Don't give it back. So we'll see what the micro ES does. This is Catapult 5-minute. Are you talking about, Don, are you talking about for the micro Russell? That it's off 5 offset, 10 reversal. I'm sorry, 5 trend, 10 offset, and 25 reversal. So that's the 15 tick bar with a 5 tick offset for as compared to TradeStation. The 1.5 point bar, half point offset. And I think it may have, I have to go back and look at the settings on that. I think those are pretty much default. Okay, so the YM is POQ, getting full target and stopping out on the trailer at 35.12, 35.012. So Spotlight is POQ on the crude chart on unleaded, 9 a.m. crude mini session, unleaded Spotlight, counterpunch soybeans, and YM Spotlight. So overall a good morning. MNQ, Catapult, Renko didn't look like it was back and forth a little too much to be profitable this morning. The Russell went too far early, took a couple of stop outs. Actually 3 stop outs. So that I would probably hold up on that. Actually 4 stop outs before it gets a winning trade. But then we get this trade that we're currently in, going to target 3 nicely. 5.2 points for target 3 on this trade. And we're already almost to target 3 with the trailer. 97.2. Now 97.7. Target 3 was 97.9. All right, Micro ES has stopped out of its early trade, so we're looking for a possible trade there for another 8 minutes in this mini session that goes from 8:35 Central to 9 Central. Then we'll look for another mini session at 9:30 Central to 10:30 Central. We haven't got a positive crossover, so an up bar here won't give us a setup, and that will end the mini session at 10 o'clock on the Micro ES. So 10 o'clock will also bring up a new crude session. Crude moving up a couple of dollars since our 9 a.m. open. We were trading around $1, almost $1.75. We were trading just below 103 on our winning trade in the 9 a.m. session, and we're now up. We have a possible get in sync, but we got another 6+ minutes before that session will start. Russell up to 99.7 for the stop on this trailer. Although likely not a trade plan trade with the 4 losses, if I remember the trade plan correctly. And stopping out at 99.7. Okay, the crude trade missing money management by 1 tick. And hitting money management, so that trades off the table as a get in sync for the 10 a.m. mini session, which we ought. No, that's right. We've another 5. We still got another 5 minutes. That's right. So not ending the Micro ES session either. Looks like, oh, this could get interesting. Looks like we may, if we get an up close, we may get a crossover in a long setup. But we've got the setup's got to get above the 14 EMA. That cyan line is the 14 EMA on the micro ES, bottom center. All right, crude is flat now. Looking for the next trade. Still nothing on the pound Aussie this morning. That long trade that did hit target one was filtered out by the crossover filter. Note the crossover here. So we've got 8 bars before we can take a long against that. And the 8th bar is this magenta bar right here. So no long trade. All right. Another 3 minutes or so. And there is another short on crude. 104.22 is a possible get in sync for our 10 a.m. session. And it looks like this one, yep, this one hits money management as well. So that's no longer available. Looks like we are going to get a setup coming right at 10 o'clock on the micro ES. So I will give that 5 more minutes to hit the entry. And the Russell with another long trade. The short setup that would have set up was not below the 14 EMA on the Russell, micro Russell, and that's why there was not a short setup. The setup would not have been below this 14 EMA. And there is a squeeze filter on the long, crude long, crude flat, and we are in our 10 a.m. session. And there's the first trade, 103.94. No trigger on the short. Another filtered long. And that we also get a cancellation of the short. So no trade so far. There is the long on the micro ES at 45.90.75. And it looks like it's going to cancel on the end of this bar, going strongly down. But we're only a minute in, so we'll have to see what happens.
Order cancel. Order cancel.
All right, we did get a short on the 10 a.m. crude. And that stops out for, actually got money management and target 1. So that will be a one and done session. 103.99. 98 would have been the stop out, since we did have hit a fixed target, hit one of our primary fixed target. So we would keep our stop at 98 and not key level adjust.
Order fill.
So 10 a.m. session for crude is a winner. More questions. I will be with you in just a second once I take care of something. Here we go. All right. It's 50 becoming resistance now for crude. And our long trade on the micro ES does cancel, and we'll wait for 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern for the next mini session.
Order cancel. Order filled.
Now, the soybeans chart is on counterpunch. I'm just using the full counterpunch rather than CPX. CPX2 and the full counterpunch are the same as far as the trade setups. Typically, yes, we'll run more charts on Spotlight because that is typically a more profitable setup or more profitable strategy. But CPX counterpunch is a solid strategy, especially on some of the forex swing trades. It's been a very strong winner, but it tends to give more trades, so the win rate is not quite as high on counterpunch as it is on Spotlight. But they're both fairly similar in that they both use 3-bar setups. The confirmations are a little bit different, but Spotlight is a bit pickier about the setups that it takes, and just the way it's constructed.
Order filled.
Fairly successful morning on most things. We do have a long trade on the pound Aussie here. That set up just above the 200 EMA. And that's set up 75.21, and yeah, EMA was one tick below that, so I would actually push that up a couple of pips, go to 23, and that has not triggered in yet from an adjustment of 23. And a short on the pound Aussie now at 74.99. Actually, no, it's going to be 74.99. Key levels, move it down. We've got two closes below, but we've got an adjusted entry. So it did trigger the unadjusted entry. So we'll leave the long in place for the moment, and the short at 74.99. Questions or comments? Steve, did that answer your question? Full counterpunch and CPX, as far as the trade setups go, are going to be the same. It's just a matter of some of the tools for trade tracking, filters, that kind of thing. Okay, let's see, our close was 75.093. Balance line is 091, so that is a close above the balance line, so that's one. This looks like it's going to be two. Pushing up through the 50. And that cancels the short. Since the long triggered in unadjusted, we are keeping that trade online. I still want it to come up through. Now the 200 now is at 52.03. Or yeah, 520.3. So yeah, let's keep, and given the earlier spike to 522, I would say keep the entry at 523. I don't want to get ticked into this one, and of course that is a buy side entry, so you adjust for your spreads. I'm seeing about a 3-pip spread, so that's what I'm using. So not too much left to watch. We've got the potential long on the pound Aussie that we're not in yet. It's another 13 plus minutes before we get into a mini session on micro ES. 10 a.m. mini session on crude is done. So I'm here for questions. YM setting new session lows down all the way to 34,908 for the session low. I'd have to actually go back onto the CME site and look, but I know that for the full crude, it's about 12. Right now it's probably higher than that, but normally runs about $10,000 to $11,000 for a full crude contract. But it's probably up around 12.5 right 12.5 right now. I know the micro is from my broker, Interactive Brokers, which usually follows CME pretty closely, is about 1250. But you can pull the CME margins from the CME site. Most of your futures brokers have an intraday margin that's considerably lower than CME. $500 to $1,000 on usually I think $1,000 on crude and unleaded gas, I think, and 500 on most of your e-minis. The micro e-minis, of course, would be 50s. I think 100 on the micro crude, things like that. But that's to find out what your particular broker's margins are. Check on your broker's website. They'll usually have a table of that somewhere. Interesting. The Russell is sitting right around session open, whereas the YM and ES both have set session lows recently. And crude, crude falling from an open of 107.45 all the way down to $100.16, and we're running currently around 103 at 103.24. So just a little bit below midpoint of the day's range, gone as high as 107.80. Coming up close to our entry again on Pound Aussie. And I just triggered in. So Pound Aussie is in its trade. Money management at 75.37.7, I believe it was. Yes. 75.37.7. Target one at 75.40. So we'll see if that can break through and away from the 200. Notice the last few swings, it's trending up. Higher lows. Highs, it's actually going higher lows, lower highs. So it's coming into a squeeze, into a trail triangle. Going to break out one way or the other. Okay. Looks like Pound Aussie is not going to go anywhere fast for us. So I will put out a last call for questions, and if I don't see anything, I'm going to go ahead and close it down at 10:30 my time, 10:30 Eastern. So about 5 minutes. Okay, it's kind of back and forth action, it looks like. A lot of the different charts. YM testing its 50 EMA, as is crude. Looks like crude is being rejected off the 50. Still not pushing down too strong. A couple of down bars. Now it's trying to go push back up through the 20 SMA again. And testing the 50 again. Interesting. Soybeans testing its 50. The YM testing the 50, both from the low side. Crude 8-tick range bar testing its 50 EMA. Pound Aussie sitting right on its 50 EMA. There on the 8 pip range. And yeah, by knowing what it takes to get a setup, you know, it's you're not going to get a setup on the for most part. You're not going to get in 1 second.
Order filled. Order filled.
But yeah, that's basically I'm looking at the direction of the bar. Uh, spotlight and counterpunch use 3 bars, so I'm looking for where they're going. Where are you going to get exhaustion dots? For catapult, I'm looking for crossovers of the fast and slow cat lines, and of course I'll need the appropriate close on the bar, be it up for a long, down for a short, and of course the setup has to break above or below the 14 EMA if that filter is turned on. That's that kind of thing. So I'm looking at that's why I have my displays set to update on price change. My display lines update on price change. The calculator is strictly updates on bar close. But by looking in intra bar, I'm seeing what's happening within a particular bar, and I can also look at where the bar opened. For range bars, I can look at where the bar opened and where that will tell me where it will close. For time-based bars or tick charts, you just have to wait till it closes. But you can have an idea of it's going to. You'll know if it's going to be long a setup probably or not, as long as you're properly accounting for any of the filters or what have you. The pound Aussie looking like it's trying to make a push upward. You've got one strong close above the 200 now. extending up into the 75-30s. So we're halfway to money management. Does that answer your question, Roger? No, but the price bars are not lagging, and I'm looking at those based on the what I know where I've learned where the exhaustion dots will show up. Obviously, they don't show up until the third bar, but you can predict where they're going to show up based on the bars before. But I'm yes, I'll look at patterns and see some technical patterns, and I that will certainly inform my decisions. But if my trade plan is to take the trades as presented, then I take the trades as presented. Okay, there's a second strong close above the 200, so looks like our next we've got a little bit of probably have some a little bit of resistance just below money management in the 75-35, 75-36 range. No, you don't have to drink to read tea leaves. Now, do your testing, find out where your statistical advantage is, and take the trades. Now, if you've got a win rate that will make you money in the long run, leading indicators are tough. The right edge of the chart is is just that. You don't know what's going to happen next, and that's why it's really hard to make leading indicators. Most of your indicators will be slightly lagging, but look at price action, look at what the price is doing, and if you've tested a trade plan with a particular strategy that's giving you trades, trust the trade. You have to learn to trust the trade plan, and there will be losing trades. It's just going to happen. I mean, you saw what we were looking at this morning on the MNQ, and for that matter, on the micro Russell. And indicators are somewhat lagging because they're based on historical data. They're based on history. Trying to extrapolate the future from history is a difficult proposition at best. That's what we attempt to do. What Troy's strategies attempt to do is extrapolate what price action will happen based on what's happened in the past, but it's not always going to follow those patterns. Okay, this is a testing zone on the pound Aussie. All three moving averages are coming together, and it's coming back to test the 200. But all three moving averages are within 5 pips of each other at the moment on the pound Aussie. This is an 8 pip range bar chart. It came down and got close to the 200 EMA. Now if we can see a move back up and it breaks above that previous high, then I think we've got a good chance on this trade. All right, there's breaking that previous high. And that bodes well, I would say, for this trade. Still have some resistance right through here. If we get through that, looks like maybe a high up here at around 45, 44. I wouldn't be surprised to see at least one more test of the 200 as the 50 actually crosses it. Notice the balance line has crossed 200 now, or is crossing. On which chart? The pound Aussie chart that I'm talking about right now is an 8 pip range bar. So 80 ticks. Troy's strategies are primarily price action based, and so they work very well with bars that are, oh, that's a quick bounce lower, and that sets up a stop and reverse at 75.14. Bounce below it, but I will still. So I didn't get switched into the short, but I'm still long at the moment. But I did go ahead and put the order in. That was a quick bounce there as we were talking about some other things. And a 12-second bar. Actually, let's see, 46, yeah, to 59. So 12 seconds on that. That you should have, and of course that's at 17, so it would go to 14 with stop and reverse and key level adjustments, and certainly should have been in that. And I didn't get there fast enough, just didn't get there fast enough, which actually might turn out to be a lucky thing. But when you're actually testing or preparing to trade it and doing your 25 trades, that's a mistake. So missing that stop and reverse, I would, for me, normally, if I weren't trying to split my attention on six different charts, that would be a mistake. I should be in the short, but fortunately, I didn't get in the short and am still long. Short getting close to its stop actually is still slightly below the original money management on the long. But I will continue to follow the long unless it comes back down and gets in the short. If it hits the short stop, I will cancel the entry order, but I will leave my stop at the stop and reverse entry of 14. That will reduce the risk considerably on that long trade, because that's where I should have been out of the long anyway. Oh, I'm dealing with 6 charts at a time is too much for me. I admit that. But for the room, we keep that many charts open for showing examples. If I were just trading, that probably would be, actually, I would have had an entry right here at 10:45, this long on the ES 5-minute chart at 88.25. All right. And that the micro ES trade, that's a 5-minute bar. And that's hit target 1. And that is worth 4.5 points. Yeah, Steve, this one bounced right on 75. So the stop would come to 88.50 now for our 1-tick break even, and wait for the 14 EMA to come through to trail that. This is one of the range bars is one of the reasons that Troy advocates using a stronger charting platform such as TradeStation or NinjaTrader, and those are the two primaries that his strategies are set up for. Although they'll also work on MT4 and TOS, many of them, Thinkorswim. And who knows what happens with Thinkorswim once TD Ameritrade and Schwab are fully combined. There is there is no roadmap, at least publicly yet. All right. So micro ES, that will of course be the power of quitting trade on that 10:30 or 9:30 Central mini session, 9:30 to 10:30 Central time. My timestamps are in Eastern, so that's why they're an hour different. At least for the trade room. And actually, I would love to see NinjaTrader give us the capability to put all of our charts on exchange time. I think that would be an excellent feature. And all three indexes seeming to be turning slightly. You too, Roger. Have a good weekend. And I believe I'm going to bring it to a close today as well. Now, that's interesting. Doesn't look like it got to the stop. Oh, yes, it did. Yep, got right to 88.50. So micro ES stops out. Pound Aussie working hard to try to get up through the 75.35. It's touched it or been right at it 3 different times and hasn't been able to get through. But I will see everybody next Monday. Have a good afternoon, good trading tomorrow, and a good weekend. Now, that micro ES is a case of, okay, it touched the stop. Did you get filled or not? And what do? If it touches the stop in that situation, and I don't get filled, I'll continue to follow the trade manually. But because you're already in the trade, and the trade is still absolutely valid. It just stopped out on its trailer. But if you didn't get filled, it's going back up in your favor. Stay in the trade. I mean, you're not going to do any worse than what your stop already was. So leave it be. All right. Everyone have a good morning, and we will see you on Monday. Troy does have a presentation Wednesday at noon, I believe. At I forget the name of it, but one of the online conference type situations. And and there's target 2. So if you didn't get stopped out, that was a good call to stay in. And we're trying to just got to push to 36.3 on pound Aussie. See if we can break through. Stop on the short is 37.0 and our money management is 37.7. So we will continue to follow that. Everyone have a good afternoon.